Okay. So we're on Daf Samachala. Good morning. 61A. And we learned the Mishnah already, correct, Dr. Stein? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we thank Hashem that we're able to find Torah every day. So we're learning Mishnah the Beis Hamikdash. We're learning Luli Nishma, Savakol the Baspar Pinyamin, and the Salas of Ben Benzion. And for Shleima for Abel Baba Ben Sarah, and Dalia Getzel Eliezer. Okay, so in the Mishnah we said that if someone sells a house, it doesn't mean that they sold the extension together with the house. It could be that they only sold the house. Yeah, when we were looking for a house, so my kids, they were choosing houses based on the things that were in the house. One house had a what's it called, the jumping thing? Trampoline. Onto that, one had a guitar in it, there's a toy in it. So obviously that's not part of the house. But today, what would be part of the house is the electrical appliances that are like, the stove and the refrigerator and the air conditioning.
Things that are attached to the wall.
Things that are.
So some people have today like TVs that are like on the wall.
Oh yeah, the TVs that are attached to the wall are also sold. So this is a little different because this is like, did he sell the garage, or did he sell the greenhouse on the side, or something like that? Did he sell the shed that's in the back? So it's a little different. So anything that's going to have anything that's going to have the same function as the house is going to be more sold with the house than if it has a different function. That's the general idea. Problem is, anything that has its own name, that has its own significant chivas, that would stop it from being sold, right? The same function is yes, but its own chivas would be no. So the Gemara asks right away. We did the Mishnah already. So the Gemara asks, "My yitzia." When it says if you sell a house, you didn't sell the yitzia, which we translate as an extension or something like that. So as the Rashbam put it, he says it's opened to the house. Okay, he doesn't really give me a translation. So Hacha Tagimo over here in Bavel, it was translated as after. After in the Quran, it's translated as an attic, but an attic sounds like it's something that's on top of the house. The Rashbam doesn't make it look like that. It's a small structure that's on the side of the house, so that would be an extension. Now, the veranda. I think the next one would probably be the veranda. Rabbi Yosef says Bidka Chalila, that it's a structure that has just like an after, but it has a lot of windows. A veranda is something that has a lot of windows. Yeah, I think that would be the Rabbi Yosef would say the veranda. Are they both in the art school verandas? Two verandas? Okay, it's fine. Okay, Bidka Chalila would be a like a Florida room. It's like a room that has a lot of windows that they sit in it just to probably just to relax or something. The windows, the Rashbam says, are for beauty. Chalila is like a line, openings. So now the Gemara says, according to the version over here that says that the Yitzia means after, which means that if someone sells the house, he doesn't sell the after, which is that small structure on the side of the house. So Koskin Bidcha Chalila Mizdavna. For sure, the Bidcha Chalila is not sold because the Bidcha Chalila is not used the same way that the after is used. It's not used the same way as the bias is used. That's the main point. The house is used for sleeping and for, it's like a bedroom. But the Bidcha Chalila is just used for relaxation, to cool off. It's not really used as a bedroom. So therefore, it would be a different, because it has a different purpose, then it wouldn't go under the same category as when he said he's selling a house.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a private room either, because there's windows.
Right, it would be private. So if when someone sells a house, he doesn't sell the bidka, he doesn't sell the after, so then the halacha for sure would be that he doesn't sell the bidka chalila, which is so much more different than the bias.
Like a porch. Do they have glass back?
Not as windows.
Hi, good morning. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good morning.
How did you get back yesterday?
5 o'clock.
I was wondering, how would they move this? Because today is
We're not moving it.
in order for it not to be included in the sale.
No, totally not. No, they would sell a property, and the owner would still own part of the property. Would sell a property, but he still owns the roof. He still owns the trees. He still owns the well. He still owns. It's not moving it. He's still retaining rights to whatever whatever part. They would sell rights, like they would sell all the fruits on the tree. The person would buy just the fruits of the tree. How would he get them? I don't have to somehow get into the property. So, but he's selling the house, but he's not selling these things that he's still keeping for himself. Okay. However, the opposite, according to the opinion that says that he wouldn't sell that open room, so then aval afta misdavna. But the afta, which has the same function as the house, that would be that small room on the side, that's extension, that maybe would be sold. Yeah, it would only be something that's very different from the house that's not sold. Yeah. Rabbi Yosef taught there's 3 names that this Yitzia has. One is Yitzia. Okay, that was easy. Second one is Tzela, and the third one is Ta. Ta is Aramaic.
Chamber style.
No, they have different names, right? What is it? Side chamber?
Side chambers.
Is the Yitzia. Tzela is
a cell.
The cell, and the Ta is? Ta sounds more like the cell.
Ta is the cell.
The Yitzia maybe is the gallery. Yitzia is the gallery. Tzela is the side chamber. And Ta is the cell. Yitzia, when it says the gallery, we translate as extension. Diksiv hayitzia tachtena chamesh ba'amarachva. You see, when Shlomo Melech built there's a description over here of the Beis Hamikdash based on what Shlomo Melech built, based on Yechezkel, and then there's going to be from the Mishnayos.
Was the palace of David that was built by David? That was before
like the
Beis Hamikdash.
but David didn't build the Beis Hamikdash.
Right.
Shlomo built the Beis Hamikdash.
Right. They call it House of
That would mean in Tehillim it's called.
No, there's actually archaeologists found the big palace.
Yeah, in here David.
Yeah.
I think that was just his house or something like that. Yeah. Okay, so in the Beis Hamikdash, there was the main room, the Heichal and the Chedesh HaKadoshim, and surrounding that main room, the entrance was called the Ulam, but surrounding that main room were these like storage chambers. They were, so the outside looked square, even though the inside was like a T. At the front was very long, and then the inner room was more narrow than what you would see on the outside. And the reason is because you had thick walls, and inside those walls were storage rooms. So those storage rooms were called Yitzia, Tzela, and Ta, depending on which verses you were reading, which section of Tanakh. So if you're reading it in Malachim, so it says a Yitzia Tachtena, the lower one was Chomesh Ba'am Rachba, was 5 amas wide. And the reason why it was that wide was because the one on top of it put the boards that were the stones that were the roof of it was a little bit longer. So it started smaller, so the rooms were more narrow, so that way the support of the one on top of it could be held by the walls. And Tzela, the Ksiv, how do you know it's called Tzela? The Ksiv Atzelois, Tzela al Tzela Shleishim Shalish Pamim. There were 33 of these rooms surrounding, going all the way around from the north, that would be the east. No, there was nothing on the east. There was the north, the south, the the north, the west, and the south. Altogether it would be 33 rooms. Ta, where does it say the word ta? The ksiva ta kana echad eirech, the kana echad rachav. It was one kana. And how big was a kana? It says, I think kana was 6 amas or something. Kana echad arach, which was 6 amas. The kana echad rachav. It was one, and it was one kana wide, which is 6 by 6. But bein time chamish amas, in between the time was 5 amas, which means that the walls were, that the bottom one was 5 amas, the second one was 6 amas, and the third one was 7 amas, because they would get wider for the support. That's working its way up. Right, that's the bottom floor, middle floor, and top. In the picture, if you're looking at art school, you have the picture. Okay, should I show everyone the picture? You see the indentation on the bottom one, on the upper one. That's holding the it's a support for the, so it gets wider as it goes up.
That's better. Thank you.
Okay, and all we're doing over here is we're just saying that there's the same words. The same room has 3 names. Could be called the Ta, Yitzia, or Zela. Okay. Now comes along if you want. You could say another source that is called the Ta. You have a Mishnah that says the wall of the Eichel was 6 amas, and the Ta, which is that cell that was in the wall, was called 6 amas. And the wall of the Ta was only 5 amas. Okay. We see that that room is called the Ta. Yeah. Okay. Amar Sutra says, when do we say that these extensions or these rooms are not sold together with the house? That means the seller maintains ownership of that room. That's only if that room is 4 amas. That's something significant. If it's less than 4 amas, then it's sold along with the house, even though it wasn't itemized. But in other words, they have to have its own significance. And what is significant? 4 amas is a significant room.
So if it's less than 4
If it's less than 4 amas, then it's sold along.
sold alone,
Along.
sold.
Sold along with the house.
Let me.
Did I make a bracha? Okay. Amalei Ravina Lamar Zutra. Sorry.
Very interesting now. I think I'm understanding a little bit more. Inner rooms and outer rooms about the whole thing. And then we went over before.
The
When we were discussing Hazaka, like that one person could have said, "Oh, but I rented with it."
oh, all right. Right. Because it could be he owned one of them, right? Amalei Ravina
Is
Lamar
that the same
Zutra.
for the mezuzah?
Yeah, it's the same
Oh,
for the
fine.
mezuzah. The discussion about the 4 amas room that has 4 amas has 10 halachas. Masechta Sukkah. Remember which page that is? On Gimel Amud Aleph, Masechta Sukkah. There's a discussion over there that 10 halachas that apply to a room that has 4 amas or less than 4 amas. Remember that? Oh, sure. A room that has 4 amas.
I think the Quran is also about walking.
Yeah, 4 amas is used in a lot of areas, but there's 10 halachas that apply to a room that's 4 amas. Like for example, one of them, if it's under 4 amas, it doesn't need a mezuzah. If it's under 4 amas, it doesn't have the halachas of tzaras on a house. It's under 4 amas, it's not considered a house to return from battle. You know, if someone built a new house, you return from battle. Remember? Erevin. It's considered another house for Erevin and all of that stuff. Okay.
I remember.
Yeah, you remember. Okay, Yitzi. Amalei Ravina Lemar Zutra. Ravina says to Mar Zutra, according to you, that you say that it's only not sold when it's significant, when it's 4 amas wide, both wide and long. So when it comes to the pit, You see, there's another Mishnah, follow-up Mishnah on Daf Samach Daled, that says that you don't sell, when you sell a house, you don't sell the extension, you don't sell the roof. The Mishnah on Samach Daled on 64a says you also don't sell the pit and you don't sell the cistern. Even though when you wrote the document about the house, you said the height and the depth, which means that you're actually you're selling the land, but the cistern and the pit is something else. That wasn't part of it. That wasn't included. Because those are totally separate. Now, if that's the case, that when you sell a house, you don't sell the extension that's attached. But that's only if the extension is 4 amos, then the same thing should apply to the pit. That you don't sell the pit only if the pit is 4 amos. But if it's less than 4 amos, we'd say that it came along. So the Tanan, I'm sorry, was taught in the Mishnah that you don't sell the pit, even though he wrote that he's selling the depths and the height of the property. So Chanami, do you want to say the same thing? You have Abraham in do you want to say that the only time you won't sell the pit or the cistern is if it's 4 amos? Usually a pit and a cistern are not 4 amos. And nevertheless, we said that they're not sold together with the house. According to Mar Zutra, it would need to be sold with the house because it's under 4 amos. Mar Zutra says it's only when it's 4 amos it's not sold. So Hachi Hashta, Mar Zutra responded to Ravina, he says, hold it. Right? Hachi Hashta. So now, hold on. Over there, this one has its own usage, and this has its own usage. In other words, a house and a cistern are totally different. They're not the same. One is used for sleeping, it's bedrooms. One is used to take drinking water out of, right? But hacha. But over here, a house and an extension has the same function. So you would say that it's really sold it's more of a reason that it's sold together, because when you sold the house, that means you sold like bedrooms. So the extension is another bedroom. So that should be sold.
Same category as a home. But then the Yitzia would be, if it's less than 4 amos.
So we're saying that the house and the extension would be sold together if the extension is not 4 amos by 4 amos. But
it's greater.
If it's 4 amos, then it's considered significant and it needs to be sold independently. It has to be itemized in the document that is sold. However, the pit was never part of it. It's smaller, it's bottled. By the pit, even when it's smaller, it's not bottled because it's not part of this. It doesn't have the same function. It would definitely need to be itemized, even if it's smaller than 4 amos. Over here, it's the same function. If it's 4 amos, then it's significant on its own and it needs to be itemized. And if it's less than 4 amos, then it's not considered significant and it's bottled to the house and it's sold along with the house. Okay. So what we learned so far is that same function would put it as part of the house unless it has a chashivas, which separates it from the sale of the house.
When you sell real estate, does that apply to all the structures on the land itself? The home, system?
Yeah, that's not so clear. That's what we're learning. Could be you're selling land and you're not selling things that are attached to it, that are part of it. If you sell land, you didn't sell the trees. You sold the trees, you didn't sell the land. When you sold the land, you didn't sell the water in it.
That someone still has like access to
Right. Right.
It's a little different. Because every property has like a folio number.
Right.
So like you sell like this folio number, like everything there is part of it.
Yeah.
Like they don't allow unless it's like type of property like a duplex or something that you could just sell independently rather than from the actors.
See in a minute. See. Hillel is mentioning that today every property has a folio number, so that would just sell everything that's in that. It's not so clear. Let's see. If you have a house that has an inner room, just because you sold the outer room doesn't mean you sold the inner room. Now, even though you have to walk through the outer room to get to the inner room, Now, the way it's explained is that the inner room is not another bedroom. The inner room over here is like a closet that's used for storage. And that's why, because it doesn't have the same function, so that's why it's not sold together with the house. Follow? It's like a different thing. It's like a shed or something. Yeah, but it's just a storage area. And Marzutra would say it has to be over 4 amas, right? So that would be Marzutra's comment. Yeah. Hashta, the Gemara says, Hashta Yitzia, when it comes to the extension, blame is Dabin. It's not sold together with the house. You have to tell me that the room, and that's the storage room, is not sold together with the house. It's totally different. Of course, it's not sold with that. Sold the when you sell the house, doesn't mean you sold the shed. Doesn't mean you sold the closets. It says no, it's only necessary. We're talking about over here, where when he sold the house, he gave the outer boundaries of the house. Rav Nachman, Rav Nachman says in the name of Rabbi Baravua that if someone sells a house, which means an apartment that's attached to a lobby, so it would be this could be like either an apartment, condominiums, or maybe it's like townhouses that are attached that have like one main room that everyone comes to sit over there to schmooze, for the gossip. They sit over there on their lounge chairs. So if someone sells one of those apartments, and the boundaries that he puts to the property are the boundaries of the whole lobby, of the whole structure. So then it doesn't mean that he sold the whole lobby, even though he was the owner of the lobby. He was owner of that house on the side, but he really only sold that house, even though he gave the boundaries of the lobby. And the reason for this is because that was just giving an address. The reason why he gave those boundaries is because he was trying to say which house he was selling. So the boundaries was just another way. See, when you put the boundaries of a house, there's 2 possibilities what that means. It could mean that you're saying the boundaries of what's included in the sale. And it also could mean that you're giving an address of where it's located, but it doesn't mean that you're selling everything that's there. It also means just an address.
Give the address also by not necessarily giving boundaries, but just by saying it's across from here.
Yeah, but that is the boundary. You're saying the property.
Boundaries like yellow tape. Exactly.
Yeah, but the way they would do that, the way they would do the boundaries is it's bordering the field of Shimon.
Yeah.
Bordering the field of Reuven, bordering the field. Now, if that boundary, if you're only selling half of the it was half the property, but you're not able to no demarcation there. They'd have to give the larger boundary.
The same thing like is true today. Like condos, when you look up on condo, public information, like it'll show the whole building, even though you're buying only one condo. Show the whole building, and then on the property description they'll say, "Oh, you need this much."
Yeah.
And the common area is divided between all.
So sometimes when you look at the property, you're seeing pictures of the lobby.
Yeah, it's like a map view, and it'll mark off the whole. Doesn't matter how many buildings it is.
Right. Okay. So the same thing would apply here. But what our chiddush now is we're saying that even though this person in the sale gave a larger boundary than just the house, he gave the boundary that included the cheder as well, which is the storage area. But what we trying to say is that he didn't sell the storage area, even though the boundary says that he does, but he really didn't. Echidami, the Gemara asks, what's the case? If it's a location, it's an area where when you say a house, you mean a house. When you say a bira, a lobby, a large mansion or something, then you say a bira, then pshita, of course he didn't sell the lobby. Bias ovenly, bira lois ovenly. He said he's selling a house, not a mansion. I don't know how they're translating bira, a mansion or a palace. Building,
Residence?
building. Okay. He said a house, not a building. So then why do you even need this chiddush? You only sold the house. And you don't call a building a house. So Ella, rather, it must be the Labira Nami Karle bias. It must mean that a building is called a house. You say, I'm gonna sell you this house, you point to the building. So that means he's selling the house. So if that's the case, the Kulas Avanli, then he sold them the whole building when he told them the house, because a building is called a house. And he gave him the boundaries of the building. So obviously he sold them the whole place. Why are you telling me he only sold the house, not the building? The Gemara says like the majority of people in this area, they call a house and they call a building a building. And Vikanami de Labira Karle bias, but there are some people that call the building a house. For them, it's like wealthy people. They say, yeah, I'll sell you a house, this, and they really mean a big building. So, what might we have thought Kulas Ovenlay that maybe he sold them the whole thing because he's going to say that you're from those people that say that you call a building a house, and that's what you wrote in the document, that you're selling me the house, and you call a building a house. So Kamash Malan is coming to teach us the Mida Havle Lamichta since when you want to sell a property and you want to sell everything that's part of it, you have to write certain words that nothing is left out. So you have to write those words.
So far, you're doing great.
Okay. Shikayach Dr. Stein teaching the last 5 days.
You pulled me out of the cistern that had no water in it.
Like Yosef in the pit. Okay, so so we're saying now is that there's certain words that would make the sale all included. Everything would be included. Those words are v'leisharis b'zvine ilain klum. And I'm not leaving anything out of the sale. If he writes those words, then I'm sure there's certain words. What are words today that make the sale as is? Yeah, there's like certain words that you add in, and then that like changes everything in the
All inclusive.
All inclusive. So that's if you add those words, that there's all inclusive words. So then you would be selling everything. Now the fact that he didn't write that phrase tells me that he's clearly not selling everything. So even though there are some people that call a building a house, and he's saying that he's selling a house, and there are some people that would say that he's selling the entire building, and he even gave the borders of the whole building. Those are the boundaries. So, but nevertheless, since he didn't write all inclusive, so then he's not selling the building. He's only selling that house. One house in that large building. Okay. We're going to have exactly the same halacha that we just learned about a house. In a building, we're going to have the same halacha regarding a field in a valley. It says, we say a valley, we just mean a large flat area. Rav Nachman says in the name of Rabbi Baravua that if someone sells a field to his friend in a large area, even though the boundaries that he gave were the very large boundaries, however, he didn't sell him the entire area. He just sold him one field in the entire area. So Hechidami, what's the case? How do people refer to a field? They refer to it as a sada. How do they refer to the large area? As a bika. So then, Shita sada zavnei bika zavnei. Then obviously, when he wrote in the document that he's selling him the field, he wrote a sada. He's only selling him a sada, not a bika. So what's the chiddush of Rav Nachman? Gemara says, "Leitzricha dika del sada kar leisada." I'm sorry, I skipped the line. El del bikanam lekar sada. Must mean that some people call that. It must mean that everyone calls a large area also a field. If that's the case, then kulas avanla. Then he sold them the whole area. So why does Nachman say he only sold them one field? Says El Leitzricha. It's only necessary dika del sada kar leisada lebika bika. Bikanami del bika kar leisada. Some people remember a Gemara similar to this. The same style of Gemara. There it says, some people call the kad a chavis, some people call the chavis a kad. In the jar, we could have thought that maybe if someone sells a jug, maybe really sold the barrel. Mashmalan that ain't holchen the mamanachar, right? That you don't follow when it comes to sale, you don't follow the majority. Over here, for some reason, we're not using that answer. But here we're saying that since he didn't put in all inclusive, then that means that he obviously didn't sell that. That's what we're saying.
This is a much more complicated version of that. Because here you have documents.
Yeah,
Whether it was just like a
verbal
jar
agreement, right? But that's
honey or
because by realty you use documents, and by personalty you don't. But the language is the same. I mean, but what did you say you were buying? What did you say you were selling? So it's just verbal or a document. That wouldn't change. So the question is, what's the common language? We're looking for a chiddush. Why didn't the Gemara say kamash mulan dein holchem b'mamanach haroy? We could have said that. The problem is that we know from the Mishnah. Back in Baba Kama, we know that. So what's the chiddush of Rav Nachman? Rav Nachman would have to give me another chiddush. So Rav Nachman's chiddush over here is that the words of all inclusive, l'sharis b'zvini klum, those are so significant that if you left it out, then that means you did not sell everything. Gemara says there's different types of people. The majority of people call a field, and a large area, a valley. They call it a valley. They don't call it a field. But there are some people that this large area, the whole valley, they call it a field. Could have thought that maybe he sold them the entire area, because there are some people that would say, when they talk about the whole area, they call it a field. And he said, I'm selling you a field. Kamash is coming to teach us. I'm not leaving anything out of this, all inclusive. He did not write all inclusive. Obviously, he's leaving out. The fact that he didn't say it, that means that he's leaving out and he's not selling the whole field. Now the Gemara says, okay, so you told me a chiddush, but if you tell me the same chiddush twice, then that's not a chiddush anymore. Why do I need the same thing to be said twice? You said it once by a house and once by a field. About the building, some people call the building a house, some people call the valley a field, right? But that's the same point. So tzricha, it's necessary to say both of these halachas, once by a house and a building, and once by a field and a valley. Diashmin and bias, because if it would only say it by a house, could have thought that maybe since a house and a lobby don't have the same function. A house is where you have bedrooms. The lobby is where you sit and relax and schmooze. So, and then over there, because it has a different function, I would say that it's not sold together with the house, especially because he didn't say, he didn't say that it's all inclusive. So therefore, that's why it's left out. Aval Bika, when it comes to a valley, the Kulachad Tashmishti, it's just one field plus another field plus another field plus another field. So I could have thought that maybe when he says that he's selling the field, it means the whole valley, because it has the same function. In Makulas Avanlay. That's why it's very significant that Rav Nachman tells us that no, he only sold one field. He didn't sell all the fields.
So then how do you know which field he's selling?
Yeah, that would be unclear. Unclear. Rashbam writes that he's standing in one field and he's saying, I'm selling you this field. Now, that field that he's standing in is one field. And however, if you want to look at it as one valley, you can also look at it as one valley. Yeah. So he definitely didn't sell him the field that he's not in, not this field. The question is if he sold this field that he's standing in, plus all of the other fields around, which he's also in, if you want to give the larger boundary. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're standing on one field, but how would the buyer know, like, what are the boundaries of that field?
Yeah.
There was, like, we had different papers last week about, like, if he dug on one specific area, that he obtained that little area.
Right.
I think the problem here is that this is for the fields.
Right.
Because base tomorrow, all different. So he says, like you mentioned, Shmuel's on the left, Rosie's on the right, and then you get all this. Then the problem is what if you
Right.
get this guy's you make a
Right.
triangle. So here the major problem is really because he owns it all.
Right. It was a yeshiva that they learned very, very slow. Well, the Basra Talmud was the yeshiva. They learned very slow. When they started, they were learning Baba Kama, so they wanted to go very, very slow. So it says Abba Aves. There's forefathers. They didn't read the next word yet. They're learning very deep. Someone said, but even forefathers, only three fathers. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and they said they're like talking about Yosef, maybe, and someone says, no, look further. It says above us Nezikin. It says we didn't come here for Bekias, to show, how much we know. We came to deep. Okay. So,
See, obviously they didn't do Baba Buster because they would have known that but now it's going into Maras and not Baylor. It was only show those. So it's the wives and everything. It doesn't mention the head of
Asa doesn't give up Tumah.
what?
Maybe it doesn't give up Tumah.
That's
Maybe
part of
Asa's
the
head.
discussion then. This was before Matan Torah. Did
Yeah, but maybe Avram was different than himself. We didn't have to. So, the Gemara says, by the house. Okay, so that's why it needs to tell me the valley. Yashmin and Bika, but if it would only tell me the valley, you see, if it would only say the valley, there was no way of marking off that the only way to describe what he's selling was to give the larger boundaries, because he has no way of marking off the smaller boundaries because he owns the other fields. And he can't say that, like, the borders what? Borders his other field. What does he say? So he says a field, and he gives the larger boundaries. When it came to selling a house and a building, over there you could describe the smaller house, the one that's 10 feet, the one that says, there's ways of describing the house that you don't need to give the whole building boundaries. You don't need to give the border of the whole building. So why didn't he do that? So I could have thought, so Kula Sabanlay, that really, if the fact that he didn't do that and he gave the boundaries of the whole building, sounds like he's selling him the whole building. So Tricha, so it's necessary to say that he didn't sell him the whole building, and why not? Because he didn't say the words all inclusive. I didn't leave anything out of the sale. Okay, Kamanos la Hadamar of Mari Bray the Bashmol. According to whom does it go? This
the guy's looking around like your kids and say, it's all inclusive. What's that old lady over there? That's my mother when we get her too.
I'm not going to repeat that. Dr. Stein had a joke, but I'm not going to repeat it.
Oh, all right.
Okay. According to whom does the following opinion go? This is that Rav Murray, who's the son of Shmuel's daughter. And if you remember, we learned that Shmuel's daughter was taken captive, and she ended up marrying the person that she was taken captive by. It was Isser, who ended up converting Isser Giura. But Rav Murray, it's really Murray Bar Rachel. Her name was Rachel. Sometimes he's called Murray Bar Rachel. Sometimes he's called Murray Braid Bas Shmuel. Okay, Rod Bashmul. Mishmei da Abaya, in the name of Abaya. So he is the fourth generation, and Abaya is, I think, is Abaya third or fourth? It's probably a fourth also, which is interesting. So he says like this: someone sells something to his friend. They're both four. So he has to say, is that the right one? Show me. What is that? Yeah, turn to page Samachalaf. That's good. Someone wrote something in it. Samachalaf. According to whom does it go? This that he says that if you sell something to your friend and you want to sell everything, then you have to write that I'm not leaving anything out. It's all inclusive. Come on, who does that go like? It goes like Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Baravua. It goes like the earlier Amira Rav Nachman that says the name of Rabba Baravua. Students of Shmuel. There was a person that said to his friend, the new Gemara, I'm selling you the land of the house of Chia. This person had a property that used to belong to Chia. It was called Chia's property. So I'm selling you that land. The problem is he had two properties that were both called the house of the property of the house of Chia. Well, which one did he sell? Amar Rashi says, Chada Amalei Tarti Lamli. He only sold them one. He didn't sell them both. He didn't say that he's selling two. He said he's selling one. Yamalei Arasa, but if you said Arasa, which is land, Arasa, I thought the ta at the end was really a Hey Hayidiyah. It was really the land. But here the Gemara is making it look like it's a plural. Arasa, the lands. So then, miyat arasa shtayim. Then the minimal amount of land has to be two, right? So then he sold both properties. Kol arasa. If he says that he's selling all the lands, then kol arasa disli labar min busnei paradisei. Then he sold him all the lands except for he didn't sell him the orchards and the paradis and the vineyards, the gardens. Bustanaya gardens. The word stan means land, right? Like Kazakhstan, it's land. It's an Aramaic word or Persian word for land. Stan. So bustan. Bus I think is a what does bus mean? Does he explain the word?
It's a compound composed of the words boy meaning fragrant.
Yeah, boy means fragrant. Boy means fragrant, and stan means means fragrant. Right? What is it? No, stan means the land. Means the land. So that means a garden. Yeah. So okay. The Yamalei. Zira, but if he says to him that he's selling him, Zira is probably like real estate. Then Afila Busni and Pradisi, then he's selling him not just the fields, but he's even selling him the orchards, the gardens and the vineyards. But he still didn't sell him the houses and the slaves. If he says property, then Afila Bativavdi, then he sold him even his houses and his slaves.
I know we're page
Let's leave it over here.
Stop here. Could you, in a few minutes, just tell us about the trip?
Yeah, talking about Stan, Kazakhstan. So it's a long flight. But we saw, you know what, I'll post it. We davened by the Rebbe's father's grave. It was on Shabbos, was the yahrzeit. Some people went on Shabbos to the kever. I didn't go, but some people went. But we went on Friday and we davened there. Very very moving, very inspiring. He's buried in a Goyish cemetery. So you walk through, you know, crosses everywhere, and you walk through, and then you come to this like little area with this small house.
Okay.
Inside.
Wow.
Were there, how many people were there inside you?
There were maybe 800, 1,000 people. That's a big group. Oh, 1 second. Reb Naftali, I think someone's saying hello to you. 1 second, go lower.
Naftali, how are you? Naftali, I cannot hear you.
That's right. That's Rabbi Marcel.
Yeah,
Rabbi
oh,
Marzel, hello.
Good to see you, Naftali.
Likewise.
Wow.
My parents in
Baruch Hashem, atzloch hagdele.
Good luck,
Good.
Nice to see you. Is
You
this your
too.
new place? Where are
No,
you?
it's the same place, remember? Naftali?
Oh, okay.
The same place.
Uh-huh. But
Huh?
it looks so nice. It looks so nice. You painted it.
Baruch Hashem, Naftali.